Hello my friends, I thought for this video I'd do you a little video about setting up a guitar. People spend a lot of money putting their guitars into shops for someone to set their guitar up for them, and I'm sure they do a perfectly fine job. However, you don't know that that guitar is set up exactly how you want it. The tiniest little changes, the tiniest little differences can make such a massive difference in terms of how a guitar feels for you as the player. So it's so simple to set up your guitar. You've just got to understand a little bit about the mechanics of it, how it works. Once you know that, you'll know exactly what you need to do, and you'll be able to set up your guitar perfectly, very quickly, and you'll enjoy it as well. You'll know that everything on the guitar is exactly how you want it to be. So I'm not going to spend ages. I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as I possibly can for you. I don't want you watching the video going, oh come on, hurry up, get to what I need to know. So I'll bear that in mind throughout the video. So people come to me and they'll say, you know, I've got this guitar, they've bought it from a shop, or you know, they've bought it from a friend or something like that, and they'll go, you know, the action isn't where I need it to be, and I'll play up here and everything sounds great, but when it comes to doing a bit of solo work down here, it doesn't sound right. It sounds all out of tune, and it's just not right. And then they'll go, so what I've done is I know a little bit about what I need to do to set up a guitar. So these little sliders on the saddle here, they'll go, so what I've done, I've played around with these, I've moved them back and forwards to try and get the tuning in, and then I've came up here and I've fiddled on with the truss rod, and they'd say, and now it's a mess, and nothing is right, and they'll give it to me, and I'll go, right, let's have a look at it and see what we can do for you. In terms of the mechanics, so when the important thing about a guitar and how it stays in tune throughout the neck and how it's built, the fundamental thing is the gap, the distance, should I say, between your top nut here, okay, and the saddles on your bridge. Okay, it has to be nice, pretty much a set distance. If this is out, if you build your own guitar, for instance, and you don't pay attention to where you put your saddle, if it's back here or up here or something, it's going to be a mess. It's not going to be in tune. So I want to talk about the straightness of the neck. That's the fundamental part to this, is how straight the neck is. It'll fix 90% of all the problems that you have: action and tuning, in other words, intonation. So where it's very much in tune up here, but you come down here and it's a mess. That's intonation. Your intonation is out if that happens to you. Adjusting the straightness of your neck is key for that. So I've drawn a little diagram. It's exaggerated for the purposes of the video to help you understand it. So imagine this thick line at the bottom here. This is your neck. The thin line across the top is your string. Now, if your neck is bowed, if your truss rod is out of adjustment and it's bowed, say you've put heavier gauge strings on, it's give more tension on the neck. What happens is you get this bow here, the neck lifts up. And what that does is it shortens that gap between the nut and your saddle. Now when that's shortened, that's what puts all your strings out of tune. So the key thing is you bring that back down, get it nice and straight. You've restored the natural length of that distance, and it'll fix your tuning issues, and with that it'll also drop your action as well. Some minor tweaks may be needed, so I'll talk about that in just a little moment. A key thing when you're doing this, you know that throughout this process of setting your guitar up, you're going to need to do a bit of adjustment on your saddle possibly, and also some truss adjustment as well, perhaps some saddle height adjustment too. You can't just go in and do it all haphazardly. You have to do it in a certain order. If you adjust your saddle sliders, that's the little things that your string rests on, trying to get the tuning right, and then you adjust the nut, you are then readjusting the length, the distance between that and that. After you've already adjusted your saddles, that's going to reverse everything that you've just done. So you waste your own time, it'll get frustrating, you'll get annoyed, you'll end up putting your guitar down and putting it into a shop and paying someone else to do it. And that's no good for anybody, and it's really simple to do. You just got to understand what order you need to do things in. So first and foremost, is your neck straight? Number one, that's what you do. Now, how to check if your neck is straight? You know, you can't just look down it, line of sight, and you know, and make a guess. Oh, well, that looks straight. You know, that's good to me, and because it could be out by a fraction, and you won't see that with the naked eye. So what you do with your guitar, you hold down on the first fret, and then also hold down on your last fret down here. All right. Once you've got that string, now imagine you're building a fence, you use a bit of string to check things are straight. So your guitar string is that bit of string that you're using to check the straightness of a fence. And what you do is, you look down at your 12th fret, all right? So you look down here, and you look at the gap between the string and your frets on the 12th fret. And you have a look at it and you go, right, okay, that's a good, if it's a good 2-3 millimeters, then you know that needs to come right down. Your neck is clearly bowed, so it's coming out, you know, this way, it's coming out, which is causing that huge gap. All right. If your string is touching the frets, fret buzz, that's what causes your fret buzz the majority of the time. That means your neck it's coming in over. It's that way. So your truss rod it's really going backwards, you know, and that's making the string rest on the fret. You don't want either of those things. So what you want, okay, is when you're holding these two and you're looking down on the 12th fret, you want a nice small gap. So if you imagine it, a bit of paper, you know, so if you had a bit of paper down there, you're pretty much good to go. You may get a little bit of fret buzz, but little tweaks like that afterwards will get rid of that for you. So, but generally speaking, really, you know, a little bit of daylight that you can see through. All right. If that's all good and you're happy with that, you're happy with the gap you've got there, lovely low, little bit of daylight, not loads, then you can start addressing the saddle height. So just to back up a little bit, imagine your neck is bowed, so it's coming out that way. So you've got a big gap on that 12th fret between the string and the frets. You need to adjust your truss rod. So you would remove your truss rod cover. Now most guitars these days, a lot of time anyway, you will get a guitar tool that comes with it. This tool has everything that you need in it to be able to do maintenance and setup on your guitar. All right, so majority of the time, if your neck is bowed, so you need to reduce or lower your action, you remove your truss rod cover here. Inside there, they'll either be in Allen bolts. Majority of guitars, I believe, are Allen bolt. All my Ibanez's are Allen, so you need an Allen key to adjust it. With the Gibson, it's a nut. Okay, so within the tool, you have this. It's like a little socket, little nut, which just slides on your truss rod, and you adjust it. Generally speaking as well, I've not known any other guitars that differ in this way. To lower your action, so if your neck is bowed, coming out towards the camera or away from you, so you've got a big gap there, you will bring the truss rod towards you. Okay, now I wouldn't go mad. You're not going to need to, you know, do several turns, you know, so be careful with it, because you don't want to over adjust. If you over adjust, you're going to get fret buzz. If you over adjust drastically, things are going to go really bad for you. Okay, so I would suggest perhaps just quarter turns at a time, just to, and then recheck, yep or no, bit of more, or oh, I've come too far, I'll just tweak it back a little bit. You'll get it right. Now I always, just to make it easier on myself, I will slacken off my D string and the G string, okay, and just drop them, just pull them across into the next saddle, just to get them out of the way, because they can, as you can see, it's very close there, you know. So I just detune them, pull them out of the way, and get in better with the tool and do the adjustments that I need. Once you've done that, bring your guitar back up to tune, all right, and check your action, because of course when you retighten the strings, you're going to get that slight tweak in the neck. It's going to pull on the neck that little bit more, so it may take your action up just that fraction more. So you might want to then go and give it an extra little nip afterwards to counteract the extra string tension. All right, So always do it with new strings, I'll say as well. Always do it with new strings. If you change your gauge of strings, 9s, 10s to 11s, whatever, that is going to have a minor effect. So you will need to reset up your guitar, depending on if you've changed your gauge of strings. So the next thing is your sliders. So your necks, imagine your neck is now perfectly straight, your action is beautiful in terms of when you're holding the frets at the far end of the guitar, you know, it's nice and straight. Even then your action can still be too bad. You go, well, how come when I let go, the action is horrendous? For that, you would just raise and lower your saddle height for that to bring it back down. That won't have any impact on the neck. That'll all remain the same, but drop that down just to get that action really low where you need it to be. Now imagine that's all done. Alright, your neck is beautiful, it's straight, action is fantastic, but your tuning is still out. So up here you've got your E, and on the 12th fret should also be an E, okay, it's just up an octave. But you'd either use your ear. If it's way out, you can tell by your ear, you know the difference in the note. Sometimes you can't tell by the ear if it might be out just a little fraction, so use a guitar tuner. So however you tune a guitar, just adopt the same process on the 12th fret, alright? So if this string, for instance, it's nice and in tune, your E string, beautiful, but then you go down here and it's flat. That is actually slightly flat from the sounds of it, and it's flat down here. You know that your intonation is still out, and that's when you start adjusting your sliders on your saddle, alright? So how do you adjust them? What do you need? I've got my tool to come with it. If not, open up your toolbox, get yourself a tool. 9 times out of 10 they are screwdrivers. So just a little screwdriver to make the adjustment that you need in here. Now, if you're in tune on an E, but your E up here is flat, so it needs to come up. If it is flat, you need to shorten the distance between here and your nut, okay? That needs to shorten. So if it's flat, you look at your slider and you will bring it in. If I just bring that closer to the camera to help you see, so this slider here would need to come in, alright, to shorten the distance between here and the neck, to change that flat note, get it nice and tuned for you. Sorry, before I move on, so you make that adjustment until your octave E, is in tune. What you got to remember is that when doing that, the open E will then be out of tune because you've made this adjustment down here. So you'll make a little adjustment, tune it back in open, and then retest on your octave and see how close it is. And you just repeat that process. If it's still slightly flat, bring it in, retune it open, and retest there until it's exactly where you want it to be. And you just repeat that process for every string, and then you are done. You are good to go. But it's really simple to do it. So people are happy putting it into a shop, getting someone else to do it. But if you're quite particular over your setup, learn to do it yourself. You know what you want as a guitarist. You know what hits that sweet spot, if you like. Learn to do it yourself. It's so easy. You just got to do things in the right order. So the first thing you do, just a quick recap, straighten your neck using the truss rod, holding down on the first and last fret, having a look down on the 12th fret, check that gap between the string and your frets. Perfect. Get that adjustment done, get it nice and straight. If your action after doing that, you know your neck is perfectly straight, but the action's still really high, that's when you lower the height of your saddle using, in this case on the Gibson, it's a little Allen bolt, okay, and you can just drop that down. I've got little thumb wheels underneath, but with full tension on the strings, you know, you're not going to have much luck with that. I would always recommend, depending on how finicky you are, when you're making these adjustments to the saddle height, to your truss rod, remove the tension from the guitar, so slacken your strings off, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. So get those strings slackened, because if you make these changes with tension on your neck, all it'll take is, if you then change your strings later down the line, your neck is then relaxed, you put your new strings on, it's not going to be necessarily where it was when you set it up. So you thought it was set up perfectly until you changed your strings and released the tension from the neck, and it won't go back to where it was. I've tried to rush through this as quickly as I can, so as to not waste anybody's time. I do hope you like the video. If you do want more detail, then I'm more than happy to give you that. Please leave comments down below if you do like the video, or even if you don't like the way I've done the video, because I'm new to this. I'm not used to doing these tutorials or anything like that. I just sit and play in silence. You know, by all means, I'm happy for any feedback that you've got for me as well. Did not mention, of course, that if your 12th note is sharp, I know this is pretty obvious, rather than flat, you will move the slider in the opposite direction towards the back of the guitar. Again, little things, little adjustments, little movements at a time. Be patient, set yourself time aside, get yourself a coffee and a packet of biscuits, and just take your time, enjoy it, and enjoy the results afterwards. Cheers guys, I hope you liked it. Bye now.